Have you ever wondered what the wildest places on Earth truly look like? Far beyond the crowded cities, there are still landscapes where nature controls nearly everything that exists. In these remote regions, the ground continues to shift, the climate remains unforgiving, and the environment is constantly changing over time. Some places appear almost unreal, shaped by powerful natural forces that have been transforming the planet for thousands of years. These landscapes reveal a version of Earth that still feels ancient, untamed, and completely beyond human control. And in this journey, we will explore the wildest places on Earth, where nature continues to exist in its most raw and powerful form. The Salar de Uyuni salt flat located in southwestern Bolivia is a natural wonder that possesses an incredibly surreal beauty. With an area spanning about 4,000 square miles, this giant salt carpet is so large that it can be clearly seen from outer space. The terrain here is flat to an extreme degree, as this entire vast region has an elevation difference of less than 3 feet. During the rainy season, a thin layer of water accumulates on the still surface, turning the whole area into the largest natural mirror on the planet. This unique phenomenon erases all visual boundaries and makes humans completely lose the ability to perceive actual distances. Beneath the pure white crust lies the storage place for more than 50% of the world lithium production, creating an especially important mineral value. Turkey possesses the majestic landmark of Pamukkale, a natural masterpiece standing proudly in Denizli province within the southwestern region. This wild wonder is actually a massive system of travertine cliffs about 525 feet high and extending over 8,860 feet. Violent earthquakes in history tore the ground apart, creating pathways for water rich in calcium carbonate to erupt onto the surface. Upon contact with the air, carbon dioxide gas escapes, leaving behind mineral deposits that harden to form natural pools. The reflection of sunlight through the super pure water on the pristine white limestone background creates an extreme turquoise color. The steep, slippery terrain, along with the intense light reflection like snow, poses a fierce survival challenge for human beings. Ijen in Indonesia opens into a dangerous volcanic crater, where a turquoise acid lake sits between dark rocks and thick sulfur gas. NASA recorded the crater lake with a pH below 0.3, making it stronger than many common acids. You can see blue fire at night when hot sulfur gas burns after touching oxygen in the air. According to Smithsonian, this acid lake measures about 2,300 feet by 2,600 feet, forming a huge natural chemical basin. Workers at Ijen once extracted about 14 tons of sulfur each day, then carried it across steep ground and toxic gas. Ijen combines the world's largest acid lake, rare blue fire manual sulfur mining, and an active volcanic landscape in one place. Mount Yasur in Vanuatu is an active volcano that keeps releasing ash gas and lava from its crater over a very long period. The mountain rises only about 1,184 feet, yet its frequent strombolian explosions show geology working in real time. Its crater is about 1,300 feet wide, where lava bombs, hot ash, and volcanic gas can burst from several vents. In 2010, the alert reached level 3, forcing restrictions within roughly 1,600 feet around the volcano. A 2020 study recorded average water vapor emissions near 208 kilograms per second, showing a strong magma system below. UNESCO described Yasur as the most visited volcano in the Pacific because its eruptive activity has lasted more than 800 years. Vinicunca, also known as Rainbow Mountain, rises in Peru's Andes, where slopes around 16,500 feet expose strange mineral layers. Its red, yellow, white, brown, and pale green bands were not made by humans, but by ancient sediments oxidizing over time. At this elevation, you do not only see the mountain, but also face thin air, harsh sun, and almost treeless terrain. Before global fame, much of Vinicunca was once hidden under snow, so these colored bands were not always easy to see. After 2015 online images spread quickly, turning a remote highland landscape into one of Peru's most curious natural attractions. The real colors are usually softer than edited photos, so clear. Weather, steady light, and dry ground strongly shape the experience. Dettifoss in Iceland is famous for its extreme water power, where you can feel the rock shaking beneath the massive flow. The waterfall is about 144 feet high and 330 feet wide, but its average flow reaches 6,800 cubic feet each second. The water looks gray-white because it carries glacial sediment, including sand, fine rock, and crushed material. The landscape around Dettifoss feels almost bare, with dark basalt-thick mist and a cold, dry terrain. Iceland's Park Authority says Dettifoss erodes its own edge and moves about 2 feet every year. Dettifoss appeared in the film Prometheus in 2012 because its empty scenery looked like early Earth. Angel Falls in Venezuela appears within tropical forest, where a vertical stream drops from a high cliff and makes the whole landscape feel intense. The waterfall has a total height of about 3,212 feet. So much of the falling water breaks into mist before reaching the ground. Its main drop reaches about 2,648 feet, making Angel Falls the world's tallest waterfall with an uninterrupted fall. You do not come here only to see water, but also to face dense forest vertical cliffs and a difficult approach. The surrounding scenery stands out with flat-topped rock, nearly straight cliff walls, and thick forest covering the lower ground. From above, Angel Falls may look like a thin waterline, but its extreme height makes the entire cliff feel overwhelming. Lake Baikal lies in Siberia, Russia, and is known as the deepest freshwater lake on Earth, where the enormous water surface feels like an isolated frozen sea. This lake has existed for about 25 million years, so each sediment layer below preserves traces of Earth's ancient climate. Lake Baikal holds about 20% of the world's unfrozen fresh water, a number that pushes it far beyond an ordinary lake. Its surface stretches about 395 miles, creating the feeling of a cold inland sea locked inside Russia. In winter, the ice can become thick and clear, but one narrow crack may turn the experience into a deadly risk. From space satellites have recorded dark ice rings on Lake Baikal, a rare sign linked to warm water rising from below. Diamond Beach in Iceland is a black sand coast known for ice pieces scattered on shore after being carried from glacier water. The black sand formed from basalt-rich volcanic material, later crushed by waves into a dark and unusual surface. The ice pieces break from a glacier system, drift through water, become smoother, and finally reach the beach by waves. Some days the beach has almost no ice, while other days many large and small pieces cover parts of the sand. Many ice pieces can look clear because long compression pushes most air bubbles out of the inner structure. Ocean waves constantly polish the ice pieces, giving them smooth surfaces, worn edges, and different shapes across changing moments. Lençóis Maranhenses National Park in the state of Maranhão in Brazil features a breathtaking landscape that completely astounds anyone who witnesses its incredible views. This destination challenges all laws of nature by seamlessly combining massive white sand dunes with thousands of crystal-clear, freshwater lagoons nested between them. The coastal region receives a massive amount of rainfall, reaching up to 80 inches each year, creating a unique flooding phenomenon across the sand. An impermeable layer of rock situated right beneath the ground traps all the pure rainwater to form these temporary natural pools. These dynamic bodies of water can reach an impressive depth of more than 10 feet, hosting many highly adaptable fish species. This massive environmental wonder, covering over 380,000 acres, constantly shifts its shape and completely transforms throughout the annual cycle. You are standing in the Gobustan mud volcanoes region in Azerbaijan, where the eerie silence is torn apart by the steady bubbling sounds breaking through the thick grey mud beneath your feet. After each eruption cycle of these 400 volcanoes, geologists discover entirely new chemical compounds forged by extreme methane pressure deep within the Earth. These natural vents continuously push up 25-million-year-old sedimentary layers from the Oligocene epoch, exposing ancient secrets that have never before interacted with sunlight. NASA engineers chose this location for their research because the terrain structures shifting constantly after eruptions perfectly match the active movements on the surface of Mars. The rawest experience happens when you climb up the 500-foot-wide crater, directly touching the cool mineral mud that just spilled out, completely different from scorching magma. The continuous transformation of these mud flows serves as a visual geological indicator, helping experts locate massive petroleum pockets and natural gas reservoirs hidden deep beneath the Caspian Sea. The Souchab River Valley, located in the ancient Namib Desert of Namibia, is one of the most wild and extreme geological wonders on the planet. Stretching through the 55-million-year-old desert, this landmark is completely isolated by a system of massive sand walls. The bright red dunes surrounding the valley can reach heights exceeding 1,000 feet, equivalent to a 100-story skyscraper. The ground here is flat and covered in a stark white color of cracked salt sediment, creating a fierce contrast with the red sand. To survive through dry periods, the roots of the camel thorn trees here must pierce deeper than 150 feet into the earth to find water. This ephemeral river ends its journey right in the middle of the vast desert because moving dunes block its path to the ocean. Panjin Red Beach is a beach without red sand, where the blood-red color is created entirely by Suaeda salsa, the only weed species capable of surviving on this toxic saline soil. Dubbed the Lung of Liaodong Bay, spanning 260,000 acres, this wild ecosystem acts as a natural filter, purifying industrial wastewater before it flows into the ocean. The history of this place is tied to a turning point decision when the Chinese government closed more than 200 oil wells belonging to the Liaohe oil field, moving all factories away to save the beach from pollution. Thanks to that, when coming here at its peak in September, you will be overwhelmed by the grass swaying like vibrant waves of fire, giving the feeling of being on another planet. Few know that during the harsh periods of famine in the last century, local people gathered the edible leaves of this salty grass as a lifesaver to get through the winter. This spectacular sight has a unique time exclusivity, as the beach only turns crimson for less than 60 days, and if you arrive at the wrong time, you will only see a grey mud flat. Enedi Massif in northeastern Chad is a huge sandstone formation in the Sahara, known for towering canyons and scenery that feels almost separated from the modern world. This area covers about 23,000 square miles, where wind and water-carved cliffs, natural arches, rock shelters, and narrow stone passages. Ancient rock art in Enedi Massif dates back thousands of years, recording a time when the Sahara was wetter and held more animals. In 2016, UNESCO recognized this place as a World Heritage Site for its geology, ecology, and cultural traces preserved on stone. A dry region like Enedi Massif still contains water canyons, ancient rock art, desert ecosystems, and rare natural stone architecture. Viewed from above, Spotted Lake in Canada appears strangely like a giant palatine with hundreds of vibrant circular spots lying amidst a barren basin. This illusion comes from the dense concentration of minerals, including magnesium sulfate, calcium, and sodium sulfate accumulated in a closed lake with no outlet. These geological conditions, with high salt levels and low oxygen, have turned the lake into a natural laboratory for NASA researchers to study the potential for life in extreme environments similar to ancient Mars. The overhead view reveals a mesmerizing distribution of circular spots, creating a rare sight amidst the surrounding dry hills. However, if you visit during winter or spring rain, and melting snow will dissolve these salt layers, causing the unique spotted features to temporarily disappear under the calm water. The Chocolate Hills in the Philippines are an extremely bizarre geological wonder, as the structure of these over 1,200 hills is actually compacted bones of billions of marine organisms from the Pleistocene epoch. What puzzles scientists completely is the incredible uniformity of this terrain, because the hills have almost identical slope angles and perfectly rounded hilltops instead of common jagged or fractured landscapes. Inside the dense forest valleys, trapped between the hills, is the wild world of tiny tarsier monkeys, possessing eyes larger than their brains and the ability to emit ultrasonic calls while hunting. When standing from the highest observation deck looking down, you will face an overwhelming space as thousands of undulating hills rise continuously and extend all the way to the distant horizon. One of the most adventurous travel experiences here is the zipline system, combined with aerial bicycles, helping you hang suspended at a height of 150 feet across the valleys. To protect this unique structure from the greed of construction material companies, the Philippine government officially signed a decree declaring the entire area a national geological monument to ban all mining. The Pantanal, stretching across Brazil, Bolivia, and Paraguay, is the largest tropical wetland system on Earth, with an area of 68,000 square miles of wilderness. During the rainy season, over 80% of the plain is submerged underwater due to an extremely low terrain slope of only about 1 inch per mile. This massive geological basin possesses the highest concentration density of jaguars on the planet, alongside 10 million caimans. When the water recedes in the dry season, the entire ecosystem is fiercely crowded into remaining channels and cracked mud puddles. Apex predators like 200-pound giant anacondas and large otters constantly compete intensely for food resources. This extreme landscape transformation turns the region into one of the most violent and distinct survival zones on Earth. Standing tall amidst the ocean like sharp basalt blades, the Reynisstrangar sea stacks in Iceland are a masterpiece of creation, born from molten magma colliding with the freezing Atlantic water. Although possessing a dark and harsh appearance, these cliffs serve as a peaceful home for tens of thousands of puffins, creating a lively contrast against the deathly stone. According to local folklore, these 3 pillars are actually trolls that turned into stone forever when the Arctic dawn suddenly broke while they were trying to pull a ship ashore. Another legend says these pillars also embody eternal punishment, representing the undying vengeance of a farmer who chased the creatures to the beach to avenge his wife. The beach facing these stone pillars is currently considered one of the world's most dangerous spots, where unpredictable sneaker waves frequently drag unwary tourists into the freezing ocean. Sounds at Reynistranga are never peaceful, as waves crash against the stone like cannon fire, blending with wind, whistling through sharp crevices to form a haunting natural melody. Iguazu Falls lies between Argentina and Brazil, where a large river breaks into a wide waterfall system over ancient basalt rock. Instead of one giant fall, it contains about 275 water streams dropping over layered basalt rock. Some water walls fall nearly 260 feet, creating thick mist that keeps the landscape in constant motion. The rock beneath the falls came from ancient lava, formed about 115 to 125 million years ago. Layered basalt makes the water drop in several levels, giving Iguazu Falls the shape of a broken cliff edge. As water levels change, the number of falls and exposed rocks also shift, so you rarely see the same view twice. The Danam Valley Conservation Area in Sabah on Malaysia's Borneo Island is one of the most ancient pristine rainforests on our planet. Having evolved continuously for 130 million years, this wild land possesses an incredibly fierce and primitive ecosystem. The most impressive feature here is the giant dipterocarp trees towering above the canopy, including a majestic tree holding the world record at 329.7 feet. Beneath that dense forest canopy, The vegetation grows strangely, with the giant Rafflesia flower, whose bud can expand to more than 3 feet in diameter. This harsh and humid environment is a safe haven for Borneo pygmy elephants weighing up to 5,500 pounds, along with a thick density of forest leeches. Explorers wishing to survive in the Danum Valley Conservation Area must face steep terrain and complete isolation from civilized world. Shailan Stone Forest, located in Yunnan province of China, is a unique limestone desert in the world. This great karst geological complex possesses a large distribution area of more than 186 square miles with an extremely rugged structure. Over 270 million years of harsh evolution, water with mild acidity has continuously eroded and carved the rocky floor. That natural weathering process has transformed flat rock blocks into tens of thousands of sharp standing limestone spears. These giant solid rock pillars can rise straight into the sky with a threatening height exceeding 131 feet. The extreme terrain here creates deep labyrinth canyons, turning the ancient stone forest into a real survival challenge. Poás volcano in Costa Rica is a massive crater nearly 1 mile wide and 1,050 feet deep, where the ground tore open to reveal a dark, menacing basin. At the bottom sits Laguna Caliente, an acid lake that constantly shifts from turquoise to a leaden gray, reflecting the raw violence of the magma lurking below. From the observation deck, the air hits you with a suffocating sulfur stench, accompanied by wind whistling through rock walls and the relentless bubbling sound of boiling water. To keep visitors alive, they built thick reinforced concrete bunkers right at the crater's edge, serving as shields against any sudden volcanic rock blasts. Bungle Range lies inside Purnululu National Park in Western Australia, where thousands of orange and black sandstone domes rise from dry wilderness. These rock towers are about 350 million years old, yet they became widely known only in recent decades. The orange bands come from oxidized iron, while the black stripes are linked to microorganisms living on wetter rock surfaces. Some domes reach about 820 feet, forming a natural maze of cliffs, narrow gaps, and hard terrain. UNESCO listed this place as a World Heritage Site in 2003 for its rare sandstone cast and strong geological value. The rock surface looks solid, but its protective crust is fragile and can be damaged by repeated touching or stepping. Sitting isolated in the Arabian Sea, about 210 miles from the mainland, the island of Socotra in Yemen was originally part of an ancient supercontinent before shifting into the ocean 34 million years ago. This land quickly became a target of search for the ancient Roman and Greek empires as they continuously dispatched sailing fleets across the ocean to hunt for black aloe and a tree resin more expensive than gold. Roman gladiators of that time frequently found ways to rub this thick, dark red resin all over their bodies before entering the arena to pray for protection and soothe deep sword wounds. The origin of that resin, resembling fresh blood, comes from the dragon's blood tree, a unique plant possessing a natural antibacterial mechanism that helps the trunk to automatically secrete a red fluid whenever the bark is cut. From June to September every year, the island is completely closed down by nature as monsoons blowing through continuously generate sea gales, pausing all arriving flights and ships. The experience here brings extreme wild adventure, as you will completely leave luxury resorts behind to walk with bare feet through rocky canyons and sleep under a night sky filled with glowing galaxies. Fly Geyser is located in the United States, where a hot spring accidentally turned dry desert ground into a strange mineral structure. The geyser mound rises about 30 feet, covered by stacked mineral layers built by hot water over many decades. This place did not form completely naturally, but began from well drilling in 1916 and continued through real geothermal activity. Its red, green, and orange surfaces come from minerals and tiny organisms living in wet, hot water conditions. Water flows down in rough mineral steps, so the landscape keeps changing instead of staying fixed like ordinary rock. Fly Geyser still grows each year because hot water keeps carrying minerals upward and adding material around its vents. The Avenue of the Baobabs in distant Madagascar is a wild, natural wonder that possesses a fierce and completely unrealistic beauty. This dirt road features ancient trees with bizarre shapes resembling giant roots planted upside down into the sky. These plant giants have survived resiliently for 800 years and serve as living witnesses of the ancient primeval forest. Each mature baobab tree here can store up to 31,700 gallons of water in its trunk to overcome harsh dry periods. They rise straight into the air, with a spectacular height reaching 100 feet and possess a trunk diameter up to 23 feet. The surreal landscape with this miraculously self-healing tree bark has created a unique natural sanctuary. Amidst the arid Western Australia desert, the Wave Rock Granite Cliff stands tall as a unique geological wonder that challenges time. This ancient rock formation dates back 2.63 billion years, witnessing the entire geological transformation of the Earth. The rock face has a height of 50 feet and extends continuously for 360 feet, taking the exact shape of a massive ocean wave. This special flared slope shape was created entirely by the chemical weathering process of acidic groundwater deep within the Earth. The multicolored vertical stripes on the rock surface, formed from iron oxides and carbonates deposited after each heavy rain.
Esta formação extrema e icônica atrai mais de 100 mil turistas para visitar e vivenciar este lugar na vida real todos os anos.
Did you know that since the ancient Ice Age, the combination of volcanic eruptions and massive ice sheets formed Malafell Mountain in Iceland, with a conical structure about 650 feet high, standing in the middle of a flat valley? The characteristic green color covering the entire surface of this structure is the result of a special moss species called Grimmia, growing by attaching to volcanic rock and absorbing moisture from fog and rain. This prominent geometric shape and vegetation turned the mountain into an important landmark, which in the ancient Viking language means Measure Hill, serving for navigation when traveling through this region. Due to its isolated location, weather conditions here only allow you to get close to the mountain during a short summer period from late June to August, before thick ice sheets close all entryways. To explore this location during the summer, you are required to use specialized super jeeps with large tires to cross ash deserts and deep glacial meltwater rivers. The entire main composition of the mountain mass remains tufa rock and volcanic basalt, rich in iron and magnesium, preserving intact geological traces from tens of thousands of years ago when the entire island was frozen. Many people will mistake themselves for having just set foot on some distant planet when witnessing the majestic scenery at Farafra Depression in western Egypt. This blindingly white desert region is covered by a massive layer of chalk originating from ancient marine organism shells. The harsh terrain here possesses countless unique, natural rock structures shaped like giant mushrooms from 10 feet to over 30 feet high. The arid sunken ground sparkles with millions of natural quartz crystals lying alternating with dark and extremely solid iron sandstone bands. This wild ecosystem has absolutely no surface water sources, forcing small animals to hide deep underground to survive. This vast national protectorate has established a fierce survival challenge for humans due to complete disorientation caused by the uniform terrain. Vatnajökull ice caves lie beneath Iceland's largest ice mass, where blue tunnels appear seasonally and may vanish after one melt season. Ice in Vatnajökull can reach about 3,100 feet, thick enough to cover mountains, valleys, basins, and hidden landforms below. These ice caves form when meltwater or geothermal heat carves the glacier, then winter cold hardens the passages into natural tunnels. Inside the caves, blue ice, white ice, and black volcanic ash form clear bands across the walls and ceilings. UNESCO recognized this area in 2019 because of its rare mix of ice volcanoes, glaciers, and geothermal forces. Each season can create new caves and erase old ones, so you almost never return to the exact same ice structure. Plitvice Lakes National Park in Croatia consists of 16 lakes separated by natural barriers, creating a cascading waterfall system connecting dolomite bedrock and narrow limestone canyons. The travertine formation process is relentless, as algae and moss precipitate calcium carbonate, helping natural dams grow about 10 millimeters per year. Due to water filtration through thick sediments, the lake is so clear that you can see to the bottom at 30 feet, spotting fossilized oak trunks lying underwater. The native brown trout have perfectly adapted to the highly alkaline water, an environment where other fish species would suffer from mineral shock and perish. You will travel on paths made from rotting oak trunks where every step exerts pressure on the decomposing bark to create a foothold above the lake water. In summer, while air temperatures can reach 95 degrees Fahrenheit, the air near the waterfall bases drops sharply to 50 degrees Fahrenheit, creating a harsh microclimate within the park. Looking down from above Middle Island in Australia, Lake Hillier draws attention with its characteristic pink color, measuring about 2,000 feet long and nearly 820 feet wide. The environment here has a saturated salt concentration of up to 35%, equivalent to the salinity of the Dead Sea and completely devoid of any fish life. This distinctive color is formed because the microalgae Dunaliella salina and halophilic bacteria secrete beta-carotene pigment to protect themselves from sunlight. In the late 19th century, humans intended to mine this area into an industrial salt mine, but the activity was quickly halted due to complex natural conditions. To protect the natural ecosystem here, the government has banned the construction of permanent man-made structures such as asphalt roads or accommodation facilities around the lake. The complete collapse of the limestone roof after a major earthquake thousands of years ago revealed Melisani Cave in Greece, which was previously a closed underground structure. Around noon, when the sun is at its highest light, shines directly through this collapsed roof, creating a reflection that makes the entire deep water below appear in a distinct turquoise blue color. The beauty of this water is also the inspiration for the name of the cave, associated with the mythological story of the nymph Melisanthe, who immersed herself in the cave after her feelings were rejected. In order to preserve these ancient sediments and ensure safety for visitors, regulations here strictly ban all walking or free-swimming activities requiring movement on small wooden boats rowed by local people. The pristine natural space combining transparent water and natural light here reduces the sense of busy modern life, bringing humans closer to ancient spaces. Located isolated on the Kamchatka Peninsula in the far east of Russia, the Valley of Geysers is the geothermal system with the second largest density of geysers on the planet. This wild canyon, 4 miles long, challenges all human access efforts, as there is absolutely no road leading to it. The extreme terrain here hides intense magma pressure, continuously operating about 90 geysers and more than 500 open-air hot springs. Powerful eruptions can launch a giant column of boiling water straight up to a height of more than 130 feet, tearing through the Siberian sky. This surreal landscape possesses unique microbial mats that create vibrant bands of color clinging to the mineral cliffs. It is also a special survival area for hundreds of brown bears weighing up to 1,000 pounds that come to find warmth amid the icy land. Ball's Pyramid off Australia rises like an isolated volcanic spike, standing straight in the sea with almost no easy access. This rock reaches about 1,877 feet, so you see a huge basalt wall rising directly from open water. Ball's Pyramid is about 3,609 feet long, but only 984 feet wide, creating a narrow, high, unusual landform. It is the eroded core of an ancient volcano formed about 6 million years ago from hard basalt rock. The cliffs continue below sea level, meaning the visible summit is only the exposed part of a much larger structure. In 2001, researchers found about 24 insects once believed extinct still living on a steep rock ledge. Rock Island's southern lagoon lies within the waters of Palau, where countless forest-covered limestone islands rise among vast lagoons and coral reefs. Many islands have wave-cut bases, creating narrow lower sections that make the whole seascape look unlike ordinary tropical waters. UNESCO recognized this place in 2012 because it holds strong natural value and about 3,000 years of human traces. Beneath the water live more than 385 coral species and 746 fish species, forming a huge marine archive. You can move through narrow waterways, rock arches, sea caves, and thick island forest inside a terrain that keeps changing. This area contains 52 isolated marine lakes in limestone, where separate conditions push life forms to develop in rare ways. Did you know that the remote island of Madagascar holds a crazy geological wonder named Tsingy de Bemaraha, with an area of over 600 square miles? This unique destination is famous for a giant matrix of limestone towers that stand vertically and are as sharp as knife blades. Those deadly stone peaks can reach up to 330 feet high, ready to tear through any human skin or footwear. This extreme ruggedness accidentally turns the stone labyrinth into a natural survival fortress for wildlife. Among them, the endemic lemurs can perform surreal jumps of up to 40 feet between the sharp rock tips. The Stone Kingdom of Tsingy de Bemaraha is truly a fierce, spectacular survival challenge that defies all limits of Earth. Aldabra Atoll in Seychelles lies in the Indian Ocean, known for its isolation and the world's largest wild giant tortoise population. More than 100,000 giant tortoises live there, naturally creating a rare scene still preserved outside captivity. Aldabra covers about 147 square miles, including its lagoon, making it one of the world's largest coral atolls. Its land area is only about 60 square miles, while the inner lagoon covers about 76 square miles and shifts with tides. Sea salt has eroded the limestone surface into sharp edges, making the landscape raw and harder to cross than many tropical islands. A 2024 study found 61% of Aldabra's shoreline stayed almost unchanged for 51 years. Rub al Khali is the largest continuous sand desert in the world, with a huge area of about 250,000 square miles stretching across 4 Arabian countries. This desolate location possesses giant sand dunes with an outstanding height of up to more than 800 feet, equivalent to a 60-story building. The movement of millions of tons of sand constantly changes the appearance of the terrain and erases all map tracks. White gypsum salt flats, lying alternating in the heart of the desert, create dangerous mud traps ready to swallow vehicles. To survive the intense thirst, nomads in this land are forced to filter the rescue liquid from camel stomachs. The average annual rainfall here is less than 1.4 inches, making the natural environment extremely harsh and completely isolated from humans. Located in the Arctic Ocean under the sovereignty of Norway, Svalbard Archipelago records a population of over 3,000 polar bears living on the ice sheets, exceeding the total human population here. In their habitat, More than 60% of the area is covered by large glaciers, while the remaining open land is frozen hundreds of feet deep, making it impossible for woody trees to grow. This very permafrost layer prevents the natural decomposition of organic matter, forcing local laws to strictly ban the burial of dead people to avoid the risk of ancient disease outbreaks. Not only are there regulations regarding the deceased, but due to harsh weather conditions and the lack of a large maternity hospital system, pregnant women here are also required to move to mainland Norway a few weeks before their due date. Even so, during the summer, nature here still has dynamic areas, such as along the bays with granite cliffs, thousands of feet high, where millions of seabirds come to nest. If you want to directly explore deeper into the harshness of the polar region, you can participate in scuba diving under thick ice sheets, in water temperatures dropping below 29 degrees Fahrenheit, to observe crustaceans and cold water corals. On New Zealand's North Island, Waiotapu reveals Champagne Pool, a geothermal lake where steam, gas bubbles, and minerals stay active in front of you. The pool is about 213 feet wide and 203 feet deep, so you can sense its active geothermal force from far away. Its surface often reaches 163 to 167 degrees Fahrenheit, making safe viewing possible only from a distance. Champagne Pool formed about 900 years ago after a hydrothermal explosion, creating a landscape that is still young in geological time. The orange rim comes from sulfides containing arsenic and antimony, proving that its unusual color is produced by real chemistry. Beneath the green water sits about 1,765,000 cubic feet of geothermal fluid, where carbon dioxide keeps rising every day. Lord Howe Island lies in Australia's Tasman Sea, revealing an isolated island where ancient volcanic peaks, dense forest, and coral coexist. The island allows only about 400 visitors to stay at one time, keeping the experience quiet and protected from mass tourism. Lord Howe Island is the remnant of a volcano about 7 million years old, worn by the sea and time into steep terrain. Its reef holds about 90 coral species and more than 500 fish species, creating a rare marine ecosystem in cooler waters. In 1982, UNESCO listed this place as a World Heritage Site for volcanic landforms, coral reefs, and many endemic species. You can find mountains, forest, coral reef coastline, and a small community under strict conservation rules on one small island. Caño Cristales in Colombia is known as the River of Five Colors, where the riverbed changes by season and makes the scenery hard to predict. Its famous red color comes from Macarenia clavigera, an aquatic plant that grows on rocks and changes shade under suitable light. The river is about 62 miles long, but its widest point is only about 66 feet, so its fame does not come from size. When the water is too high or too low, the colors may fade, so you only see the strongest view in the right season. Clear water reveals the riverbed, making red, yellow, green, and black patches appear just below the surface like a natural map. If you step directly on the underwater plants, the famous color layer can be damaged at the exact point of contact. Garni Gorge is located in Armenia where a dry canyon reveals upright basalt walls with shapes that look strangely precise. The stone columns can rise nearly 164 feet, standing close together as a natural wall shaped by ancient lava. The lava flow, linked to this gorge, stretches about 19 miles, averages 197 feet thick, and covers about 15 square miles. These polygon basalt columns formed when lava cooled, slowly shrank and cracked into tall, vertical blocks. Standing near the rock wall, you can see long cracks running down the columns like physical records preserved in stone. In 2025, the area linked to Ghani Gorge was added to the UNESCO World Heritage Tentative List. Torres del Paine National Park in Chile's Patagonia region is famous for its massive granite blocks revealed after millions of years of erosion by ice ages. These cliffs rise straight into the sky at an altitude of over 9,000 feet, standing firm through thousands of years of storms and creating a distinctive, majestic natural landscape for the entire land. The space above the mountain peaks belongs entirely to the Andean condor, with a large wingspan of up to 10 feet, allowing them to glide continuously without flapping their wings by relying on thermal air currents. The vast steppe surrounding these mountain ranges is home to pumas, with one of the highest wild densities on the planet, allowing them to easily stalk and hunt native guanacos. The climate here changes very quickly and severely, as you can experience bright sunshine, blinding blizzards, and freezing rain, all within a matter of a few hours. This continuous variation makes weather forecast satellite applications inaccurate, forcing travelers coming here for exploration to prepare thoroughly to adapt to unexpected natural situations. Kaieteur Falls lies inside Guyana's rainforest, where a massive water column drops from a cliff into a wild, deep gorge. The waterfall is about 741 feet high, creating a nearly vertical fall that feels powerful and unforgettable. Its average flow reaches about 23,400 cubic feet per second, making it one of the world's strongest single-drop waterfalls. After the main plunge, the water continues over steep steps, raising the total waterfall system to about 822 feet. You can feel its isolation because the area is mostly forest cliffs, spray, and wide, untouched natural space. A golden endemic frog lives in water holding plants near the falls, adding unusual biological value to this place. Disco Bay in western Greenland opens into an Arctic sea where giant icebergs turn the water into a constantly changing landscape. Many icebergs here can rise over 490 feet above the sea, while most of their mass stays hidden below. You can see icebergs cracking, turning, and drifting continuously with the cold currents of the polar sea. This area is known for whales, seabirds, and cold ecosystems where life adapts to ice, deep water, and long, harsh seasons. Disco Bay attracts attention because sea ice fog and rocky shores create a cold, dangerous, and unusual landscape. At times, the bay looks like a moving ice field where each iceberg reveals only a small part of its real mass. If you follow the resounding sound echoing through the cliffs of New Zealand's southern mountain ranges, you will find Sutherland Falls dropping from a height of 1,904 feet, creating one of the torrents with the largest water discharge in this country. In 1880, a gold prospector followed this loud noise for several days before he directly saw the location of the water flow. The entire flow is divided into 3 consecutive tiers, with the heights of the stages being 751 feet, 815 feet, and 338 feet, respectively. The water source supplying the waterfall comes from a glacial lake hidden in the upper valley, which was formed by the movement of ancient ice masses. Thanks to the absolute isolation and uniqueness of the ecosystem, this land was designated as a World Heritage Site by UNESCO, with strict regulations banning permanent constructions. The area surrounding the waterfall is completely free of modern tourist services or industrial structures, only containing wooden bridges and simple shelters to preserve the natural space intact. If you are looking for an isolated wilderness off the Pacific Ocean, Cocos Island in Costa Rica is the destination famous for the largest concentration of hammerhead shark schools feeding on the planet. This place is also associated with a historical event during the 19th century when the entire treasure of Lima, consisting of many tons of gold, bullion, and gold coins, was transported here for burial to avoid conflicts. Geologically, this island is the top of an ancient tectonic volcano rising above the water, located about 340 miles from mainland Costa Rica. Due to its completely lonely location and lack of an airport, the only way for you to access this landmark is to take a sea voyage lasting from 30 to 36 hours on specialized vessels. The coastline of the island is surrounded by vertical granite cliffs hundreds of feet high, with dozens of freshwater waterfalls pouring directly from the top into the sea. To preserve the natural ecosystem, all sightseeing and diving activities here must end before sunset, and you are absolutely not allowed to stay overnight on the island. Located on the border between Vietnam and China, Ban Geoc De Tian Falls is the largest transnational waterfall system in Asia and ranks 4th in the world. When viewed from a distance, the water falls down into multiple tiers, forming prominent white streams amid the surrounding rocky mountains and green vegetation. The entire large volume of water for this waterfall is supplied by the Khe River, a river that originates in China and flows through Vietnam before returning to the shared border area. As you approach the heart of the waterfall, the water continuously crashing into the rocks below creates very loud echoing sounds throughout the valley. To observe this scenic sight at a distance of a few dozen feet, you can choose to sit on simple bamboo rafts, controlled by locals with wooden poles to move close to the foot of the falls. For centuries, the natural space here has been closely associated with the cultural life of the indigenous people through traditional then singing and tin lute music often performed right on the riverbank. Nyiragongo in the Democratic Republic of the Congo is the only volcano in the world that maintains a massive liquid lava lake boiling continuously for decades without ever going out. The lava here has a very low silica content and high fluidity, allowing flows to reach a terrifying speed of up to 60 miles per hour during sudden eruptions. In 2002, a crack at the base of the mountain caused the hot flow to spill directly into the city of Goma, forcing tens of thousands of people to evacuate and wiping out many housing structures. When looking down from the crater at night, you will see a brilliant orange glow reflecting off the clouds, a sight that can be clearly observed even from dozens of miles away in space. Wuling Yuan in Hunan, China, appears like a giant stone maze where towering rock pillars rise through deep forest and heavy drifting mist. Many pillars stand over 660 feet tall with narrow bodies and vegetation still clinging to their exposed summits. The scenic area covers about 102 square miles, where cliffs' deep gap streams and forests constantly break your view. Its rock foundation dates back about 350 to 400 million years, then uplift Rain and erosion split it apart. After rain, mist often hangs between the pillars, hiding their bases and leaving only the stone peaks visible above. Yuan became a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1992. But its strongest pull is ancient sedimentary rock turning into a vertical mountain forest. While most glaciers on the planet are melting and retreating due to climate change, the Perito Moreno in Argentina still stands tall as it advances forward about 7 feet per day, like a paradox of nature. The vibrant cobalt blue color you observe is formed because the ice is compressed so tightly that there is no air left inside, causing it to reflect only blue light. When standing at the foot of the glacier, you will constantly hear loud cracking sounds coming from the process of the ice block moving and reshaping its structure. Every 4 to 5 years, the advancing ice blocks a river branch, creating a large dam until water pressure tears it apart in an ice explosion with a sound audible for dozens of miles. Water obtained from this glacier is considered to be one of the sources of water with the highest purity in the world. The weather here changes very quickly. Within minutes, you can start with bright sunshine and end immediately with a foggy snowstorm. A characteristic, unpredictable trait at the southern pole of the planet. Renowned as the greatest biodiversity treasure on the planet, the Raja Ampat Islands in Indonesia serve as the meeting point of the most pristine marine ecosystems ever discovered by humans. The characteristic mushroom-shaped limestone islands here were formed over millions of years due to natural erosion processes under the persistent impact of seawater and resident organisms. Raja Ampat is also the only place in the world that allows you to directly observe the natural mating dance of the birds of paradise in the wild environment. The richness in this sea area reaches the highest level in the world, with over 1,500 species of fish, 550 species of coral, and thousands of mollusk species living together. This area is also the habitat of the epaulet shark, a strange creature capable of using its fins to move on shallow coral reefs when the tide recedes. With water clarity reaching up to 130 feet, you will feel like you are flying in the air when diving down to explore the ocean. Known as a masterpiece, hidden within the mountain Jeta Grotto in Lebanon, is a magnificent dual cave system where a rushing underground river flows below, while a labyrinth of limestone formations rests above. In ancient history, the rugged and isolated space within this cave system served as a safe shelter for local residents against external influences. In the upper dry cave level, geologists measured a stalactite hanging from the ceiling with an amazing length of over 26 feet, ranking among the longest intact stalactites in the world. According to geological research, it takes between 100 and 300 years to accumulate 1 cubic centimeter of limestone. So each stalactite here represents a formation process lasting tens of thousands of years. When visiting the upper cave level, you will be overwhelmed by cave arches hundreds of feet high, covered by millions of limestone crystals reflecting natural light. The lower cave level was rediscovered in 1836 by a missionary who followed the sound of the underground river to open the door into this vast cave space. Hookah Falls in New Zealand is a wild wonder containing one of the greatest densities of natural energy on the planet. Ancient volcanic silica rock walls help shape this dramatic flow over tens of thousands of years without being eroded. Pressure from the narrow canyon pushes the rapid flow speed to the maximum and crushes every chance of survival for objects. The giant water mass continuously stirs strongly, creating an extremely high dissolved oxygen content that attracts predatory birds to feed. Under the deep pool is the resilient home of the rare longfin eel, which can weigh over 40 pounds. That extreme topography and fierce operating mechanism turn this place into the most magnificent natural icon. The Badain Jaran Desert in Inner Mongolia of China is a giant desert area containing extremely fierce paradoxes of nature. This place owns the highest stationary sand dunes on Earth, with the highest peak reaching an outstanding height of more than 1,600 feet. This giant structure has stood still for tens of thousands of years thanks to moisture from groundwater located 8 inches to 7 feet deep. This transcontinental groundwater volume rises to the surface and forms more than 140 natural lakes right in the heart of the desert. The lakes containing extremely high mineral content automatically change color from turquoise to deep red, which is incredibly surreal. This absolute contrasting landscape creates a unique survival wonder that challenges all limits of humans. A giant circle, resembling the eye of the Earth, stares back into space from the barren desert of Mauritania, which is the Richat structure. This wild wonder possesses a diameter spanning up to 25 miles, making it completely impossible for humans to observe fully from the ground. The extreme terrain here is composed of steep, concentric quartzite ridges rising up to 1,500 feet above sea level. The central core contains ancient rock layers, nearly 500 million years old, exposed after millions of years of surface erosion. This surreal landscape is a region of sharp rock fragments, arid and isolated, directly threatening human survival capability. The unique geological dome of the Richat structure serves as a highly famous natural landmark for navigation out in space. The wild volcanic Staffa Island in the United Kingdom is a fierce geological masterpiece shaped by massive lava flows millions of years ago. Over a long period of time, the natural cooling process cracked the solid rock into a maze of cliffs, rising up to 65 feet perpendicular to the sea surface. The most impressive feature here is the unique geometric structure composed of more than 40,000 basalt columns shaped into neat hexagons. Under continuous impact from Atlantic storms, these cliffs were eroded and carved deep into the island for 250 feet. This rugged terrain creates a cave interior submerged under 25 feet of deep blue sea water and completely isolated from a human world. That surreal architectural mass, challenging all laws of art, turns this wild island into one of the most spectacular natural wonders. Chingy de Bemaraha National Park in Madagascar opens up a wondrous world shaped entirely from ancient limestone towers. This place possesses millions of sharp rock structures rising up to 330 feet, forming a treacherous natural maze. This extreme terrain was sculpted over 200 million years from a Jurassic ocean bed through the erosion of acid rainwater. The severe fragmentation turns this land into a survival fortress where 85% of plant and animal species are endemic. humans wishing to survive across the sheer cliffs are forced to carry a minimum of 1 gallon of water each day. This fierce natural wonder challenges all exploration limits and has been officially recognized by UNESCO as a World Heritage Site. Monuriki, located wasteland in the west of the main island Viti Levu of Fiji, is a volcanic island completely without human inhabitants. This place possesses an extreme terrain, with giant vertical basalt cliffs rising from the ocean floor to a height of 584 feet. The unique feature of this pristine island is that there is absolutely no natural freshwater source existing within the ground. That harshness turns this rock structure measuring 660 yards wide into an extremely fierce survival environment for all living creatures. However, the island remains the last sanctuary for the rare Fijian crested iguana, along with giant coconut crabs. This isolated wild setting was once chosen as the main background for the classic survival movie Castaway of world cinema. Reed Flute Cave in China did not form from dry land, but was once a vast ocean 180 million years ago, later pushed up to become a massive limestone mountain. For millions of years, rainwater mixed with carbon dioxide to form weak carbonic acid, silently eroding the mountain interior and carving out a vast cave dome like a cathedral. Inside, stalactites and stalagmites grow very slowly, as nature adds only about 4/10 of an inch of calcium carbonate every 100 years. The historical value here is confirmed by over 70 ancient calligraphy inscriptions written in ink on the cave walls dating back to 792 AD. During World War II, the cave became a solid fortress, protecting thousands of people from air raids, thanks to a limestone ceiling hundreds of feet thick. Today, this massive space can hold 1,000 people, where a multicolored neon lighting system shines on the stone pillars to create a dramatic visual effect that shakes all senses. Five Flower Lake at the Jiuzhaigou Reserve in China, located at an elevation of nearly 8,100 feet, is a mysterious geological masterpiece. The lake's surface never freezes throughout the year, thanks to an underground spring continuously pumping warm water from deep inside the earth. The most special feature is the absolutely transparent water, allowing the human eye to see through to the lake bottom at a depth of 16 feet. Beneath the lake lies a huge matrix consisting of hundreds of ancient tree trunks preserved intact over many centuries. The extremely high concentration of calcium carbonate minerals in the water has coated these tree trunks to completely prevent the natural decay process. The combination of fossilized vegetation and unique algae layers creates a multicolored landscape that is completely unrealistic. The Black Desert, standing in the western desert of Egypt, possesses a mysterious appearance that shatters all conventional definitions of scenery. This wild land stretches continuously for 19 miles, with hundreds of cone-shaped volcanic hills rising above the sand floor. This volcanic rock armor, dating back up to 180 million years old, protects the bright yellow sand dunes below. This place was once a fertile ecosystem, where scientists excavated dinosaur fossils weighing 132,000 pounds. The extreme and unrealistic geological landscape turns this destination into one of the wildest places on Earth. The wild island of Yakushima, located in the southern seas of Japan, owns an extremely majestic, ancient, temperate rainforest. This place challenges all laws of survival with a monster rainfall reaching from 160 inches to more than 400 inches every year. This giant granite block forces the ancient cedar trees to grow slowly to create extremely dense wood grains. The intense vitality helps them accumulate an amount of rot-resistant resin 6 times higher than normal to achieve a lifespan of thousands of years. The monster root systems crawl exposed and intertwine tightly together to hold up tree trunks, weighing tens of tons against natural disasters. The entire kingdom of Yakushima is covered by thick moss carpets, creating a primitive landscape that seems completely surreal. Bisoke Crater Lake lies between Rwanda and the Democratic Republic of the Congo, where water fills a volcanic summit crater. The lake sits at about 12,175 feet, making the climb difficult for people unused to high mountains. You cross wet forest, slippery mud, and long slopes before seeing water held inside the volcanic bowl. The lake is about 1,480 feet wide, sitting inside a crater rim, unlike an ordinary mountain lake. More than 10 million people live within 62 miles of the volcano, giving geological monitoring here major importance. The Sala de Arizaro Salt Desert sits isolated on the high Puna de Atacama Plateau in the Salta province of distant Argentina. This grand natural wonder possesses a massive surface area of 617 square miles covered in a stark white color. The extreme terrain here is located at an elevation of 11,480 feet above sea level and has 0% air humidity. The high salt concentration of the soil has completely wiped out plant life, turning this area into a deadly wasteland. This barren mineral crust contains huge reserves of lithium and potassium, making this place a global treasure. The Makgadikgadi Pan Salt Kingdom, located lonely in the middle of the Kalahari Desert in Botswana, is one of the largest salt pan systems in the world. This place was originally the bed of a prehistoric superlake that dried up tens of thousands of years ago, leaving a vast desert. With a total area covering more than 6,100 square miles, this actual network is so huge that humans can see it clearly from space. The mineral crust, up to dozens of feet thick, completely prevents the growth of plants, creating a white, extreme terrain. This great migration, along with the rise of tens of thousands of flamingos, creates an extremely unusual, vibrant ecosystem.